Oh my gosh. Michael about today, I'm with Glenn Crockroft in his Invercargill Traffic Enforcement Museum. Hey Glenn.
Good morning.
Now tell us about this incredible place.
Yeah, well, it's my passion to try and retain the history that is slowly being forgotten of traffic enforcement, both here in Invercargill but also nationally through the country, as it was just over 30 years ago today that the police took over traffic enforcement, and the Ministry of Transport and the local bodies before them, who operated their own enforcement, disappeared into the past. So.
Yes, and the great thing about this is so many people today would not remember or know that back in the day, Invercargill, or all city councils, particularly Invercargill City Council, operated its own traffic enforcement,
yes.
which included parking but also traffic
yes.
violations or speeding, drink driving, those sort of things. And obviously your family's got a bit of a history there because as your father was a chief,
exactly.
And you followed in his footsteps.
Yep, I spent 24 years in enforcement myself, and my father was there from 1954 through till 1990 when he retired.
Yep.
So, it's in the blood.
It is in the blood. But what you've done here, it's so much history here. Now, so people want to come and visit, they just make a time with you, contact you, and arrange a time to come and see?
Yep, just give me. I'm happy to show anyone through any time.
Yep.
And I have a number of car clubs and groups and so forth that come to visit as well at weekends.
Yep.
In fact, 2 weeks ago we had the Edendale Vintage Machinery Club came for a visit.
Yes.
So
yep.
it was nice to have like-minded people
True.
here,
Yes.
who are also trying to preserve the past as well. So.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's take a tour. Oh, Glenn, I didn't imagine this. I just thought it was a wee garage. I didn't think it was a bloody shed.
No, this is...
Holy moly.
The other one was...
Wow.
My main focus in here is the traffic enforcement side.
Right. Yep. Which is your ticketing, speeding.
Yes. Yep. And hence the patrol car here.
Yeah, and the motorbikes. Wow.
Yep. I mean they ceased to exist.
Yep.
In 1992 when the police took over.
Oh,
so
yeah, because they were all Mitsubishis, weren't they?
Yes.
Yes, that's right. The V3000. I remember that.
V3000.
That's right. They were the traffic cops car, weren't they?
Yeah. The communications over the years, back in the 1949, the first radio telephones were fitted to the MOT patrol cars.
Yeah, they had a cop car, a police car, a patrol car. Really?
19 of them were fitted in the North Island to vehicles.
Yep.
And I'll just reach over and grab this and just... Obviously, in those days, rear vision wasn't an issue in the cars.
No.
So
oh my gosh.
the radio telephone took up the whole of the back window.
Wow, isn't it funny?
And they were ex-army units.
Right. Yep.
And of course, range was very limited. So someone would sit up on top of a hill and could talk to someone at the bottom.
Right.
And a wee bit further down the track, they found if they parked on a railway line, the railway line would act as an aerial through to the next city.
Wow.
Or the next town. So someone parked in the next town on the railway line could talk via the wireless.
That's a hard case, isn't it?
I've never seen any reports of patrol cars being hit by trains, so they obviously timed it pretty well. But moving on from there, moved to the Pie Reporters, and then the Pie Cambridge and Tate came along.
Oh yeah, New Zealand company, wasn't it?
The Tates were used. The Pie Falcons moved in as well.
Wow.
And in fact, that unit came from Timaru.
Oh yeah.
That was the Timaru City Council, and that sat in the mayor's office.
Oh wow. And
he could switch over and talk to traffic or whatever via the speaker system in it. Because in the early days, every city in New Zealand had their own traffic enforcement.
Within the city councils?
Yes.
Yep. Wow. So and then look at these uniforms.
Yep, these ones here, Mike, this is the Ministry of Transport uniforms.
Yep.
And I'll say one of the ones which is the latest is the female traffic officer uniform here.
Yep.
They when the woman started, they were issued with a skirt and handbag and a different hat.
Yep.
Which none of them liked. So the first thing that got thrown away was the skirt, and the next thing was the handbag, and then the hat, and they all wore the normal forage cap.
Right.
That's been the hardest uniform for me to find because they're all thrown out.
Oh, right.
And a couple of years ago we had a reunion in Blenheim, and lovely lass there who actually lives in the area, Sheila Scott, she said to me, I'm going to wear my uniform tonight.
Yep.
And as I say to anyone that female mentions uniform, are you wearing a skirt or are you wearing the trousers?
Oh, yeah.
And she said, oh, I'll be wearing my skirt. So I professed my undying love to her.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, she presented me with her skirt.
Wow.
And another young lass, well, not young, we're all getting older now, but she had her original hat, which was still in the plastic bag, never been worn.
Oh,
so
wow.
she sent that down to me. And earlier this year, I was in Wellington for investiture of the Queen's Service Medal, which I received in the New Year's Honours List. And I met up with Felicity, who used to be a traffic officer years ago. Her husband, Dave Walter, was the superintendent of the training college.
Right.
And she said, I've got my handbag. I'll get that for you. So brand new handbag, still had the tag attached and the key in it, never been worn.
So it's mint, just like the cap, yeah.
Yep. So, that's the hardest one that I've had to find.
Even the cops had a classy looking outfit, didn't they? I mean, the motorbike cops, police, traffic, yeah.
Yeah, that's the original MOT leather jacket.
Oh, yeah.
And one particularly, one there in the middle, the uniform with the green gorgets on the collar, that was Henry Gore. Henry was the Deputy Chief Superintendent for the MOT. Right. And I called in to see him a number of years ago in Oamaru, where he wasn't particularly well at the time, and he said to me, I want you to come back within the next 3 weeks. I need you to come back. So Brenda and I popped in, and he had his dress uniform, his mess kit and his greatcoat set up. He said, I want you to take those and look after those for me. Right. I've got no family to pass it on to. Mm-hmm. I want you to take it back. And I said, well, that's fine, Henry. I had my phone. I said, look, there's a photo of a mannequin I've just picked up. That will be you. So when your health improves, you come on down and you can have a look at yourself. And he chuckled away. The problem I had when I got back, I put the tunic on the mannequin and I'd forgotten he was 6'7" tall. Oh, right. So the hands disappeared up inside the sleeves and came down below the knees. So I've had to put it onto a half body mannequin and with the rest of them in there. Wow. But that's a particularly, there was only one Deputy Chief Superintendent at any time. Oh, right, yep. The other ones beside it is Superintendent. And the other side is the Chief Traffic Officer. That was my own one as the Sergeant in the front row. Oh, yes. And Chief Traffic Officer beside it. And mess kits in the far corner.
Yes, I was just going to ask, what are those two in the corner there? Those,
that was worn at official dinners and things that were held at Government House or whatever. Right. The green lapels, that was a commissioned officer. Yeah. That particular one was Chief Traffic Officer Joel Smith from head office in Wellington, and the one beside it in white, that's the NCO's one, was in white, so that's a sergeant. And the only real difference is the actual top itself. Same trousers, same cummerbund and so forth. But there weren't too many of those issued because there weren't that many official functions and things that people would wear them to. Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. But everything in here, Mike, has a history.
Yes. Oh, so it's got a story attached to it. Yes. Yep.
I mean, even this cabinet, my wife wondered why I bought. That was a conservatory I arrived home with one day that I picked up off Trade Me, and she, what do you want that for? You just hang on there. I'll show you.
It's perfect to keep those in good nick.
Yep. Rebuilt it using the panelling from it. Wow. The other side, Mike, is I said earlier about the city council traffic. In 1989, there were 5 city councils left that had their own traffic enforcement. Mm-hmm. That is a uniform from each of them. So we've got Auckland City, Invercargill, Tamaki City, Napier, and Mount Albert were the last.
The last of the City Council
Yep.
traffic departments.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in April
Yep.
'89,
Yep.
they took the patch off the tunic and sewed the MOT one on.
Oh, yes.
And that was the end of local body traffic enforcement.
Was that 89, was it?
Yes.
Yep. And then
Yep.
you've got, now this is some of the
This is the early
radars, is it?
radar speed detectors.
Yep.
This was the first one that was in Invercargill, the Johnson Mark V.
Oh, wow.
It would sit up on the roof of the car.
Oh, really?
And the
Yep.
readout unit you'd sit inside with, and as the vehicle approached, the needle would raise and lower, indicating the speed, and the squeal from the box would, the higher the pitch, obviously the faster it was.
Oh, right.
And that was used 1969, that was purchased and retired in 1976.
Right.
1976 it was replaced with the JF 100 speed gun.
Oh, the speed gun, yep. Still bulky, but yep, progress.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we had one here in Invercargill, and it was used for about 9 months. There was some problems with it, so CPAC Automation, who were the distributor in Wellington, they took it back as a warranty and actually replaced it with a TR6, which is on the other side of the cabinet there.
Oh, wow.
And they were used for a number of years, and from there it then progressed to the moving radar,
Yep.
which the KR10 on the other side
On the other
too
side
is
there.
the...
Oh, yeah, we're getting smaller slowly. As the technology evolved, they're getting more compact, aren't they?
Yep, that was the first of the moving radar, where the readout unit has 2 screens on it.
Oh, right. Yep.
So while you're driving, it's giving your speed, and
yep.
the other one would give the speed of the vehicle approaching
Wow.
whatever way the antenna unit was pointing.
Gee, that's
And then the one that did catch a few people out, of course, was the digitector. The digitector had 2 cables that went across the road.
Oh, I see. Yes,
And
yes. Yep.
so you'd have a spotter down the road further, and as the vehicle went over, it registered the speed
Of the first one, and then the second.
The spotter would then step out and stop them and issue the infringement for it. That's all the breath testing gear that was used over the years. So many people will...
And toxihizer.
Yeah, they'll remember or have heard of someone blowing in the bag.
Yes, yes.
And of course, that's what's all in the
They are there,
in the
old
cabinet
bags.
on the left.
Yeah. So they blow into those. How funny. The chemical reaction, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. That is gold.
But what I want to really do is to make sure that this history is preserved.
Yes, yes.
A couple of years ago, I took the V3000 in for a warrant. Thought nothing of it, came home, and on the Monday I was in at one of our clients, and the young lass on the counter said to me, she said, "I saw you driving an American police car at the weekend." I said, "What do you mean American police car?" "Black and white one, like on TV.
Ah, of course.
I said to her, I said, "How old are you?" And she said, "I'm 32 years old." And I said, "Well, you probably wouldn't remember, because at that time, it was have been she would have been 28 years prior. These cars departed; they were gone. They were no more."
That's right. Yes.
And she said, "No, it's always been police." And I explained to her.
Yeah.
And the next weekend, she came out with a husband and 2 kiddies and spent an hour in the old shed.
Yep.
Just amazed at what that history is that she wasn't aware of. In the early days, all the city councils had their own traffic enforcement, so there's a whole array there of badges from different cities through the country.
Yep.
Wow. Likewise, the Ministry of Transport, things have changed over the years. The earlier badges is the row through the middle, and the front row has got the Queen's Crown.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The back row was the King's Crown, which was pre 1953. The precious ones to me here too, Mike, is Ernie Stopford,
Yep.
the first traffic officer here.
Yep.
On that next shelf down is his actual hat badge. And in fact, this large cabinet here, that was brought out to New Zealand
Yep.
to use in Rains the Jewellers.
Wow.
At a cost of £10,000.
Imagine that back
in
then.
those days.
Yes, that was a lot of money.
And then it went through a few changes of ownership, and I procured it from the last owner and did a I'll say, a dodgy deal with them. They had a few dogs. They needed a big dog kennel, so I built them a big dog kennel, and it was a
win-win.
A swap over for that. So both of us were happy at the end.
Wow.
And I'm very good friends of Rains the Jeweller's the granddaughter. She lives in Australia, and in fact she's coming out for a visit later this year. So she's and we all get older. She's 76 years of age now, so she's looking forward to a visit out and have another look at what's here as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Really
also, like everything here has got a story.
Yeah.
The seat at the back, that came from the old Cobb and Co restaurant out out on D Street.
At
when
the Homestead.
Yes. Yeah. When they did a refurbishment many years ago.
Yep.
And I managed to pick that up from the second-hand dealer that had bought all the stuff out of it.
Wow.
And I used that in the last shed, and I've popped it in here as well.
And then, so what else you got? Oh, so over here, what have we got here? Some more uniforms, but also more memorabilia and badges.
This is the Invercargill City Council side.
It's amazing.
Row of 4 photos across the back. That's the 4 chief traffic officers that were here in Invercargill.
Wow.
On the left is Ernie Stopford. He was appointed in 1924, and I've actually got his original letter of appointment from the town clerk of the day.
Yeah.
He started 24. 1934, he asked the council to provide a patrol car and a motorcycle with an accurate speedometer. So up the back in there, that's photos of the very first City Council traffic patrol car.
Wow.
Some time ago, I managed to get a hold of a die-cast model of the same vintage vehicle. Unfortunately, it was left-hand drive, but I've got a very good friend in the North Island that I sent it up to, and he converted it to right-hand drive for me.
That's handy.
And put the correct registration plate and so forth on it.
Oh, nice.
Next along is Cecil Harvey. He came on board while Ernie was still there. When Ernie retired in 1947, unfortunately he died 6 months later from multiple sclerosis, but Cecil took over and he was there and resigned just 1952, and he started a company called Harvey Tanks, making concrete water tanks here in Invercargill, which his grandson is still running today.
Wow.
Next along is Ebba McGregor Patrick, or he was known as Gregor. He was there for a short period as the chief, and he then resigned. In fact, down the bottom is the white leather gloves. They were actually the gloves that he used for point duty, and the tunic on the left. That was actually his tunic. Many years ago, his wife found it in the garage, and it had a bit of paint and whatnot on it, but it's amazing what the dry cleaners can do today. So it's cleaned up very, very well. Right. And then, of course, next along came my father. Yep. He was appointed as chief when Gregor Patrick left, and he stayed through until 89 when we were taken over by MOT, and then he retired a year later.
And the two names I recall back in those days of when they had the traffic department was obviously your dad, Graham Cockrofts, and Kieran Price.
Yep.
Because he was the deputy I think at one stage.
Yeah, Kieran was the deputy. Yep. He transferred over to MOT and then to police, and he retired about a year ago. This area, Mike, is the wall of remembrance.
Oh, yes.
What I've done is with past staff that have passed away over the years, I'm asking their family to send me the funeral service sheet from the funeral. And McDonald and Weston here have been fantastic, and they've donated a large number of frames for me so that I can frame each one that comes in and put them here on the wall. So it does create a lot of memories, a lot of comments from ex-staff that come to visit as they obviously check out that their own one's not up there.
Yep.
But then, start telling the old war story about some that are there that they've worked with in the past.
Yes, so many stories, isn't there? But this whole,
Because at the end of the day, July this year marked 30 years to the day that the MOT ceased to exist.
I love the M&M memorabilia. Wow, that's cool, isn't it? What a great spot you've made. Wow.
I wanted to try and keep this area as away from the rest of it.
Yep.
So this is the man cave, and this is where the grandkids come and they'll watch a video and so forth.
That's another Mike and About. If you'd like to take a tour through Glenn Crockroft's Invercargill Traffic Enforcement Museum, contact Glenn and arrange a time. It's free and it's an incredible place. Until next time, don't forget to keep a lookout for more Mike and About.